This video will be titled, Why You Choose to Be Broke. Why you choose to be broke. You're probably watching this right now being like, I don't choose to be broke. Who wants to be broke? Who wants to not afford things? Who wants to be in a position where they're constantly having to work, to pay their bills, to stress, to worry about how they're gonna get fed and how their families are gonna thrive? No one wants to be in that position of fight or flight, right? Of their nervous system being so dysregulated, I should say. Dysregulated, right? They're constantly worrying. They're constantly stressing. Nobody wants that. But yet, why do people choose it? That's the video for today. This video will be based off a book I'm reading right now called Love Money, Money Loves You. Okay? And it's a very interesting book because it's all about the perspective from money. It's almost like personifying money, treating money like it's a person, and it's talking about how you can improve your relationship with money from money's perspective. It's like there's you and there's money, and money is essentially talking to you and explaining to you what you need to do to improve your relationship with money. You see, a lot of people are dealt really shitty cards, objectively bad cards. I mean, in life, there's no such thing as really good or bad, but we won't get into that. We'll keep things simple and say that from a physical standpoint, bad cards, right? The issue, though, is that when they want money, what do? Maybe you pray. Maybe you signal somehow, some way in your mind with your thoughts, I want more money. I want to pay my bills. I want or I need more money. So what that's doing is signaling to the universe, to God, to whatever force you believe in, to provide you with more wanting of more money. You get what I'm saying? The universal language is being in a position of having. So you tell the universe, I have this money, or this is the money I am making by the end of the year, right? You're being specific with your instructions. A lot of people give up on believing in this idea of manifesting things, in this idea of visualizing things and actually attracting your reality based off your thoughts. They stop believing in it. But the issue is that you're always going to believe in something. You're always going to think different things. So you may as well think the things that are going to serve you, right? But that's where people have it wrong. They think that their thoughts and their wishes of wanting money, of not wanting things is going to serve them. But that's the complete opposite. See, the language that you're speaking in physical reality, like English, right? English is not the same as the language that you're able to communicate towards the higher power, right? This is where things get a little bit more metaphysical, right? So based off my understanding of what it means to essentially communicate to communicate and transcend this third dimensional realm, and be able to communicate towards the higher power who, is able to honor your wishes, you have to be able to talk from a point of now, of being, of having, not wanting or needing, right? It's same idea as if you're going and you're telling somebody, hey, you want to work with someone, you say, oh, I need this money, I want this money. Do you really think that person's going to want to work with you? They're going to sense right away from the get-go your neediness. The energy is going to be off. You're going to be too desperate. How do you expect it to be any different when it comes down to manifesting what you want in your life, right? This is why I'm saying that a lot of people choose to be broke because they're broke. They're given a state of being broke, let's say, within their families, not being from a low-income household, but they're choosing, whether it's conscious or not, they're choosing to reinforce their belief system, to reinforce things that are deeply ingrained in them. Now, look, I'm not saying that what they're doing is something that, doesn't make any sense and they're stupid and they're ignorant or whatever, because that's not the case. The case is that they're given their cards and they have to be aware and conscious enough to be able to improve those circumstances. Everyone's different. Not everybody lives in North America. Not everybody has opportunities to start an agency and make a bunch of money online. I get that. And I don't want to be ignorant here. I am generalizing to say that people choose to be broke because I do believe in that the negative thought patterns and things, they're constantly just getting sucked back into that. And the more you're able to understand what it means to actually rewire your belief system and consciously choose something else. You see, in the quantum field, once you're past the three-dimensional realm, right, the physical, you get into the quantum field. In the quantum field, you're able to actually choose which reality serves you, right? There's like all infinite realities, infinite possibilities. And you right now is just one of those infinite possibilities. But you could choose different paths. A lot of people are just naturally just getting subconsciously gravitated towards whatever path they're on without even knowing it. But in reality, or beyond this third dimensional reality, in the quantum reality, you can choose what path you want to go down, how much money you want to make, but you need to be very, very specific with your instructions. I always go back to the analogy of being in an Uber and telling the Uber driver, hey, I want you to just drive me somewhere there. Can you do that for me? Or I want you to take me just somewhere, just not there. That is the same way you're approaching your goals financially and in all areas of life. If you're just telling yourself, you're praying to God that, I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be on the streets. I don't want things. Or, well, I want this, but I don't want that. Or, I just want to make some money. Are those instructions going to be clear enough, specific enough? No, it's no different. It's no different at all. A lot of people don't actually know what they want. Isn't that a weird thing? You go to somebody in the streets who's not in a very good position, and you ask them, hey man, what do you want? What do you want? And chances are they're going to tell you, well, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be doing drugs. I don't want to be drinking alcohol. I don't want to be cold. I don't want to be this. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be hungry. I don't want to be poor. Okay, well, I didn't ask you what you don't want. I asked you what you want. But so many people can't answer this question, including my former self. I wasn't able to look in the mirror and say, I want this. I want this. I want this. I want this specific thing by this date. And just getting as clear and concise as possible. That is how you stop the cycle of poverty. And this is just from a metaphysical perspective. Again, don't take it so literal, because if you take it literal, it won't make sense. If you're thinking it so logically, so rationally, it will not make sense, okay? It will not make sense at all, I promise you. That's why a lot of this stuff I can't even explain to my friends, because they're taking it so literal, so based off the books, and they're not even understanding things from a deeper perspective. And it's completely futile to even spread this message with them in the first place. But if you're watching this video, then you're one of those people that, whether they understand metaphysics or not, or dove at all anywhere into this field, you'll understand. You'll at least have an open mind, I should say, when it comes down to this idea of choosing your fate, your destiny, your reality, your future, whatever you want to say, okay? A lot of people talk about this, and it's a very controversial message, right? I mean, it's packaged in different ways, this idea of, poverty is a choice. I mean, that's a very bold thing that I believe Kanye West said, but I'm not gonna get into that. But people do talk about this idea of how people choose to be broke, to be in a state of poverty, and what you can do to get out of that state, right? But that is kind of a brief overview of what I wanted to talk about today, and a very small glimpse of the book I'm reading too, called Love Money, Money Loves You. I highly recommend reading that book. I'm only like about a quarter of the way through. Very good read, a lot of actionable things it talks about. And I just love the idea of the perspective of money talking to you. Money basically telling you, hey man, like this is what you got to do in order to become the person you always wanted to become. It even talks about this idea of like writing love letters to money, talking about different things as if money was actually a person, and how it almost talks about it from a person perspective of like, you know, of them telling you, hey, like if you don't give me clear instructions, I can't do this for you. And how they're always trying to work in our favor. They're always trying to conspire for us. And how so many people are giving these demands, these what do you want to call it? These wishes, I should say, of, hey, I need to pay my bills. And what that's doing is that's telling the people, money, that person needs to pay their bills more, right? You're saying, I need to pay my bills. The universe, money, energetically interprets that as, okay, so that person just needs to pay more bills. Let's give that person more bills to pay. But what if you just have made a subtle reframe and you said, I'm gonna be making $100,000 by the end of the year, by this date, through X, Y, Z, through these investments. I will be this place, this time, meeting these people. Like, what if you got so specific, so clear, to the point where you're already almost starting to feel it in your imagination? That is what's so profound and so powerful with all of this metaphysical stuff. These things that, you know, like I said, transcend the physical realm and are well above logic and, you know, being a rational individual, or even well above quote unquote science. These things are things that you can't really explain. They can only be felt and experienced. And that's why this message is for a very few people who are actually able to maintain an open enough mind to even try it out themselves. You know, how could you know if something's real or not if you don't even try it out yourself? Because you can't always look for answers in the physical. You have to be able to search elsewhere, inwards, I should say, to be able to find what you're looking for. Anyways, we'll wrap it up here, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace out.